Go, go, go. Go. Go on, baby. Go lay down. Go lay down. Go lay down, girl. Go lay down. Good job. Who is that? I'm just laughing at what people have written here. I'm here. Hey, Linda, do you want to come on and read that story? Read some of that story? You feel like it? Hey, Ethel. Hey, video real, whisper to me, Tammy, Kathy Greenier, farm wife. I love all those flowers and roses, video real. Tam, and Danielle. Danielle, is there a way, since I've already started the stream, to get onto StreamYards from here? Hi, Lady Elaine. Well, it looks like we have a lot of ramblers here today. How lucky am I that the Rambler community would come over and join me, join the Scooter Club. Happy spring. Yes, it is spring, isn't it? We made it, guys. Another winter is over. How can I get on StreamYards from here? I know I've seen other people do it. Hey, Jen Grill. Danielle's here. I'm going to message Moo and Davita. Okay? Let them know. Yeah, Danielle. Because normally I would get on StreamYards and then bring it to YouTube. I don't know that there's any way I can do it from here. Linda. Listen, Linda. We need to set a time when you want to do it, and we'll get on the StreamYards together and come to YouTube. That'll work, right? We could even do it tonight if Carolyn, gets off early enough. If not, then, we can do it whenever you feel like it. Okay? Gotta let Carolyn know, too. She might not have got the message. She'd be mad. She'd be real mad at me. If I would have gotten up early enough, we could have went to Michael Jackson's house. It was pretty enough today. Need to show you guys that. Sorry, guys. I just felt like reading. Hi, Mary. Linda, get with me. We got to get this going together. We got to come on StreamYards together, and then we come right to YouTube. Okay? Yeah. Don't want to get anybody upset, ruffle any feathers. That's right. And the fuzz from this blanket I'm making keeps getting all over the place. Yeah, I look for my time slots. This is very different, this material. I don't know what type it is, but it's very fuzzy. Okay, you guys, let me know. What do you want? Do you want scary stories or do you want the old days stories? Or do you want a little bit of both? Because I know Steph, if she's here, she really likes the good old day ones. Reminisce and that. What do you guys want to start with? It's up to you. Scary or good old days stuff? Jess, you love the scary ones. So that's 1 for scary, 2 for scary, 1 for good old days. What else we got? Scary. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I wonder if I could do one of those polls. How does Carolyn do that? Because I know I can do it like create a poll. Here we go. Oh, this is exciting. Here we go. Don't answer yet. I'm going to have you guys do this poll. This is exciting. Okay. Wait, it's a yes or no. How do I add option? Ask a question, and then there's a yes and a no, and an add option. Hi, Kristen. This is I'll just write scary. I'm just going to write, do you want scary? That's all I can figure out how to do with a yes or a no. Do you want scary? Question mark. Okay, why isn't it going up? Right, Danielle? Okay, Tammy. All right, why isn't it doing it? Lex? I wrote this poll and now it won't even come up. It won't let me post it. It just says create a poll. Create a poll. Okay, I did it. It says yes or no. Why won't it do it? Ask your community. How come it's not posting? Danielle's laughing. I know you've never done this either, but see, I just wrote that. Do you want scary? You know, it's supposed to go in the chat.
Yeah. I whispered to me.
Oh, they're... Wait, no, they're not. Let's see if it'll... Oh. It's there now, I guess, guys.
You have to ignore the last two choices.
Farm wife.
Oh, my friend.
What do you want, Peanut?
Look what Ethel wrote.
Thank you, Farm Wife.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Lex.
You're welcome.
Okay. Scary it is. That's great. Okay, and then I won't do the poll because it'll take too long. But do you guys want Michigan, Michigan, California, Florida, or New Jersey? Right, video real easily distracted. Any certain state? Ethel. whisper to me, just pick one. Jeez. Okay. Danielle, are you still here? Michigan? Okay, we'll go with Michigan. Sorry, guys. Okay. Okay, Michigan, close to where you live. Oh, really, Jess? Very good. Okay, Danielle. Jess, Ruby, some of these are boring and I hate reading them, but I'm going to have to start reading some of them, I think, eventually, because I'll run out of reading material. Okay, let's see. This is for my family. Spooky Michigan. Oh, gosh, you guys, I'm sorry. Now I'm starting to cough. You never have to worry about me becoming. That would be a good one. Hi, Element W. That would be a good one. You don't have to worry about me becoming a pro. Because now I'm. Give me a minute, guys. Sorry. Give me a minute. Time for some cough stuff. Hi, Chris Ree. Saw you come in. If you hear yelling, that's Isaiah in his bedroom playing one of his games, his gaming stream. And they're yelling, cussing. It's ridiculous. I don't know why he gets so crazy over this. He has that big microphone like Carolyn. He's got a big desk. His computer is all gaming. You know, I guess it's a gaming computer. I don't know what the difference is. Sometimes he's in there laughing, having so much fun. Other times he's in there acting like a maniac. Does anybody else have somebody like that? Right, Kristen? Hi, Denise Renee. How are you today? That right. Really, Ethel? Really, Elizabeth? I'm glad, Denise. Really, Elizabeth? Is that your son or what? Grandson, husband? Really, Lindy Fisher? Yes, Elizabeth. Hey, Detective Turtlegum. How's it going? We're going to do a StreamYard, and Linda Gelb's going to be reading for us. We're going to get together and figure it out. She's got a good story she wants to read. Your husband, Elizabeth? Let me just get my throat ready, guys. But I do love it when he's in there laughing. It's so funny. You know, he'll get me laughing. It's really cute and comical then, you know? He'd just be laughing so hard. Just sit back, relax, talk to each other. I'm going to need it. Why? Somebody coming after me? It wasn't a shot, but I could take one. I don't do TikTok, whisper to me. Hey, Cornelia. You don't have to go in your corner. Sit and listen, talk. I'm just going to read, and you guys can listen or not, whatever you want to do. Just hang out. Want me to take one? Take a shot? Really, Ethel? I wonder if there's any. I know there's stuff out in the garage to take a shot of, but I better not, you know? This is some stuff. This is some stuff Isaiah had bought a long time ago that's been here in this refrigerator, like over a year ago. Hey, Debbie D. Yeah, I won't. Do you hear that? That is ridiculous. In there cussing top of his lungs. Ugh. We should freaking go back to work. Isaiah, calm down. Calm down. Calm down, please. Well, let's just say he's not a kid. He's 24, going on about 12 some days. Sometimes he can act so mature, and then other times like this. Dave's down in Buffalo. Sorry, I didn't mean to sound mean, Danielle. He had to go down there, work with the lighting and the watering system on his plants, for his plants. Dave said he and I are just going to move down there, and we'll leave Isaiah and Lexi here. But Lexi's good, you know, Lexi's sweet. Lexi helps out and everything. You ask her to do something, she'll do it for you. With Isaiah, it's like, yeah, I will. 5 hours later, would you do that? Oh, I'm going to. It is, Elizabeth. Snow remover, video reel. Oh, you were already here, video reel. Okay, sorry. There we go. We'll get started, guys. How did it go from 80 something to 73 for that poll? Right, Danielle? I know, Tammy. Danielle, you sound like Bonnie. Bonnie is always upset with him. But then his own mother, I don't tell her that stuff because she just goes on and on. She flips out. Oh, he should be doing this. He should be doing that. Don't let him do. I'm just caught in the middle. Okay, I'm going to shut up about that. Introduction. That's the introduction to the Spooky Michigan book. When my grandfather Lloyd was 9 years old, his parents packed their belongings and their 6 children into a wagon and moved from Ohio to Michigan. I don't have to worry about that anymore. Easily distracted. Where they bought land to farm. For a year or two, they lived in Hillsdale County in the southernmost part of Michigan. But then Ezra John, my great-grandfather, heard of some farming opportunities in the town of Temple, Clare County, near the top of the state. So the family packed their wagons again and traveled north. Listening to family stories of that period, I am strongly reminded of the wild frontier, even though the move to Michigan happened after 1910. I don't think it was a station wagon. Listening into family, Ezra John built a 2-room paper tar shack for the family to live in. The parents slept in the back room. The front room held the cooking stove and table. During the day, it was the family gathering place. At night, it was separated by a blanket on a rope. The 3 older boys, Lloyd, Vernal, and Ted, shared a double bed on one side, and the 3 younger girls, Etha, Vera, and Wilma, shared a double bed on the other. The iron bathtub was filled with hot water once a week during the winter so the children could take baths. As a boy, Lloyd chopped wood for the stove, carried water from the well. Okay, we get all that. We get all that. We know. I got to find a scary story. Sorry. I was in the mood to read, but now all that yelling. Sorry, guys. It's got me. I guess the first half of this book is part 1 is ghost stories. Aw, thank you, Elizabeth T. Grandma, like kicking fund. We love you, Scooter. Thank you, Elizabeth. You didn't have to do that. And this is his cat. Yeah, this is his cat, his kitten. Thank you so much. Yeah, so the first half is ghost stories. The rest are different things, I guess. We're going to say, let's see. Very sweet. Okay, sweetie, quit now. Come on, Mittens, please. Lay down, baby. Go on, lay down. Go on. All right, go lay down. You were sleeping with me earlier today. Yes. This one is followed me home. Why did the chicken cross the plate? Garnet, Mittens, stop now. You're messing this up. Go on. Go. Go on. See if I can get this off of here now. I can't see you guys. Mittens, stop. Let's see. Thank you, Elizabeth. You are too. Why did the chicken? Right, Ethel. Oh, that's cute. To get to the other slide. That is really cute. Wish I could remember this, remember that. That's so cute. Mama Ames in the house. Scary stories, Mama Ames. Thanks for coming. That is super cute. You'll have to tell Carolyn that one later, Danielle. since she hasn't shown up here yet. Yeah, she hasn't even, has she even read my message that I was going live? Davita did. She saw it. Carolyn hasn't seen it. Oh, there's Davita. There she is. Okay, good, good, good. Mama Ames glad. And my daughter Nikki keeps messaging me. It's Isaiah and Lexi's mom. I told her I will give her some money this week. Quote unquote loan. Been waiting for these loans. I'm going to shut up and read. It's great having children. If you haven't had kids, I recommend having a dozen of them. Okay. This is called Followed Me Home from Midland, Michigan. After Fred died, I sold the big house and moved into a charming little cottage in a nice neighborhood. Almost as soon as the moving van had left and my son had kissed me goodbye, my new next door neighbor dropped by. She was also a widow, just a year older than me, and she liked genealogy and playing bridge almost as much as I did. It was the beginning of a lovely friendship. I quickly discovered that Shirley had a quirky sense of humor and a deft way with words. Her tales about her family left me in stitches. My favorite stories were about 90-year-old Uncle Charlie, who chased pretty girls down the hall of his nursing home and pinched the old ladies in the you-know-where when they weren't looking. There wasn't a week that went by when Shirley didn't have another tale to tell about Uncle Charlie. I was eager to meet the old chap, even if it meant a pinch on the bum, but he died in his sleep before we could arrange it. I went with Shirley to his funeral, a closed casket by Uncle Charlie's request, so I didn't even get to see what he looked like. They buried him beside his long dead wife, who I understood from Shirley. Now Garnet's chasing Mittens. Won't leave her alone. Lexi's laughing. She heard that. Yes, much easier when they're little, right? Hi, Kevin. Really is, guys. If your kids are little, enjoy it now. But a lot of people have really great, wonderful, married, grown kids that are wonderful. It's just once in a while, things happen. Okay. Oh my gosh, guys. Let me show you this. Hold on. This just reminded me. You got to see this for real. Please. It's not my channel, but I have to show you guys this. It's somebody I follow. Okay. I want to show you this picture. Let me show you. You got to see this, okay? Watch, you're not going to believe this. Oh, he's premiering it right now. So I can't play it. Let me see if I can just find the community post where it'll show you the picture. Look at this, guys. Look at that. Wait. Can you see? This is real. The husband, the wife, and the baby all in the coffin together. He's doing the premiere right at this moment. Isn't that crazy? You do, Davita? Do you? It's a chance. I'm not going to tell you because then you run over there. If I tell you guys, will you not run there? Will you wait until I'm over? It's a man that goes to cemeteries and he looks up different cases. And he will go to that cemetery, whatever state it is. He'll walk right up to the grave. And as he's going to it, he's telling you the story about what happened to this person that they're featuring. It's called Faces of the Forgotten. That's the channel. He's premiering it right now. I forgot he was premiering that right now. Can you believe that, though? I mean, that is a beautiful casket. Guess what this happened? Guess what, though? Guess how they died. They didn't want people to say. You watched him too? They were saying in the comments last night, if you know about this, please don't tell and give it away. Now they're doing it. Yes. I don't know how, LMNW, but it was the wife that did it. The wife killed the husband, the baby, and herself. I don't know how she did it. They're saying that it was, what is that? That thing that you have after giving birth. You know what I'm talking about? Like Andrea Yates. Remember how she murdered her 5 children? She was in that psychosis. I can't think of the word now. Postpartum psychosis. And I don't know what year this happened, but you can tell by the way they're dressed and everything. Hi, Jenny D1. That she was in that psychotic. The psychotic one, not the regular postpartum. So I'm not sure how she did it. But they look so peaceful and beautiful here. I thought, wow, probably a flu or something like that. It's a good channel, though. Okay, sorry, guys. I just wanted you to see that, okay? I thought that was really neat. I mean, it's sad, but you know what I mean. Thought it was cool how they're all in the same casket together. Here we go. They buried him beside his long dead wife, who I understood from Shirley had nagged Charlie every single day of their married life. Shirley and I tossed 2 bouquets of flowers down on Charlie's casket and wished him a good time in the next world. It was a sad day, but we figured Charlie would be happy chasing the pretty angels around heaven and getting into one scrape after another. If you keep hearing noises, that's the 2 cats running in here and then running back out because Garnet won't leave Mittens alone. I attended the small funeral brunch at Shirley's house and then went home. The evening proceeded normally, at least until I heard that funny squeaking sound the front door makes when it opens. I was puzzled. I knew I had shut the front door firmly when I came in, and I was pretty sure I'd locked it too. I went in the hallway to investigate and found the front door wide open as if someone had just walked in. Behind me, Misty, my gray cat, started to purr. She walked delicately toward the front door and started twining herself around and around as if she were rubbing against someone's leg in greeting. But there was no one there. My arms broke out into goosebumps. I hastily shooed Misty away and closed the door. The cat continued to purr and leisurely walked into the living room as if she were dodging the footsteps of some invisible presence. In the living room, Thomas, my ancient fox terrier, huffed a greeting to a very empty-looking spot in the middle of the room and then settled back down in his basket to snooze. I hurried away to the kitchen to do something normal, like the supper dishes, and then went right to bed, telling myself I was being overly imaginative and silly. The next morning, I found a few of the kitchen cabinets standing open, as if someone had been searching through them, looking for something to eat. Pretending that I must have left them open last night, I hadn't. I quickly closed them. I ignored Misty's purred greeting to someone who just happened to be occupying the empty chair across from mine as I sat at the table to eat my cold cereal. I pretended not to see the unfolded newspaper on the kitchen counter where I had definitely not put it, and I absolutely did not see one of the pages turn all by itself as I grabbed my keys and walked out the back door. For almost 2 weeks, I ignored the invisible person living in the house with me, although it felt like he, drove me crazy. He left cabinets open, scuffled up the rugs, rearranged the furniture to suit his fancies, and forgot to turn off lights. But when he started whistling off key, I decided I'd had enough. Ugh. I told Shirley about my unwanted guest. She'd been reluctant to believe me until she came over one morning and found someone invisibly reading the newspaper. After that, Shirley gave me the name of a psychic whom she'd heard about, and I finally gave the woman a call. Shirley wanted to be here when the psychic arrived, but she was called over to her daughter's house to babysit, and so she missed out on the grand entrance. The psychic was a nice, normal-looking brunette who stiffened as soon as she entered the house. "Yes, you do have a ghost," she said, before I'd even had a chance to take her coat. Here's an illustration for "Followed Me Home." We sat down in the living room, and the psychic quickly made contact with the spirit. And what do you know? It was Uncle Charlie. Apparently, he'd seen me at the funeral and decided I reminded him of his first love, a woman named Linda, so he followed me home. "I'm flattered," I said carefully, "but it isn't seemly for a widow to be sharing her home with a handsome bachelor such as yourself." As the psychic relayed my message to the ghost, I heard Shirley's car pulling into her driveway. I knew she would be over any minute. I wonder what she would say when I told her that Uncle Charlie had followed me home from the funeral. "Charles has agreed to leave the house," the psychic said. I wanted to ask where his spirit usually resided, but I decided that was a personal question best left unasked. Then I felt a distinct pinch on my bum. I jumped and uttered a little shriek. A moment later, a feeling of emptiness filled the room. Charles is gone, the psychic told me, giving me a sympathetic smile. Apparently, she had gotten a pretty good idea of what Uncle Charlie was like from their brief talk together. After thanking the psychic and paying her, I walked her to the front door and saw Shirley hurrying up the front drive. The two women nodded to each other, and then Shirley burst into the hallway. I just saw my Uncle Charlie come out of your door and walk down the steps, Shirley said, her face pale with shock. He disappeared when he reached the sidewalk. Was he the one haunting your house? I told Shirley what the psychic had said and about the pinch Uncle Charlie had given me just before he left the house. For the first time since we'd met, Shirley was speechless. I laughed suddenly and got up. It'll be nice to have my house to myself again, I told her. Oh, I'm glad I finally got to meet your Uncle Charlie. My remarks set Shirley off, and we laughed ourselves silly before making our way into the kitchen to brew a pot of herbal tea. Hi, Lark E. Let's see, we'll read this one or not. Yeah, this one might be okay. This one's called A Father's Revenge out of Detroit. Let me take another sip. Give me one moment. Got to check on something. Hold on. A Father's Revenge, Detroit. He watched uneasily as his only child, a fair daughter, laughed as she traded goods with the handsome white trapper who came to their village each week with his skins. His girl child was very shy and spoke little, even to the people she had known all of her life. But now she was glowing as she exchanged soft words with the white man with fair hair and sky blue eyes. The father didn't like what he saw, but what could he say? His daughter did nothing wrong, said nothing unseemly. She just smiled a little too brightly at the trapper's wit and charm as they traded goods. When the young man was gone, he asked his daughter about her conversation with the white man. Hi, Margot. Brief intermission. What topic had fascinated her so? She turned her bright eyes on her old father, who was chief of his village and whom she loved with her whole heart. We spoke about life, she said, about the sun and the stars and the many beautiful things that surround us. The old chief knew in that moment that his only child was in love with the white man. He knew there was nothing he could say that would change the desire in her heart, so he just touched her cheek gently and walked away. But he did not hold himself as proudly as before, and his sloping shoulders revealed his worry to those who knew him well. His daughter might once have noticed such a change, but now there were stars in her eyes, and she saw nothing but a vision of the handsome face and supple form of the young trapper. The old chief knew that the young couple was meeting in the meadow outside the village, spending many days walking in the woods and talking. His daughter did not neglect her duties to her father during this time. His meals were served on time and his clothing was kept clean, but the girl went about her daily tasks with a distracted air, and the old chief knew she was eager to finish her work so she could go to the meadow and see her love. One day he said to his only daughter, "My child, I will lose you soon, I think." His daughter blushed happily and nodded, "Yes, father, we were going to ask you for permission to marry as soon as possible. Thomas wants both you and the priest to marry us, so we are bound by both our laws and his." The old chief nodded, pleased by this news, so the young trapper was serious. Thomas would not take his only daughter as a plaything, but would give her the rank and status she deserved. "You see," the daughter said playfully, "you should not have worried." "Hi, Annie B." The chief smiled and told his daughter to bring her young man to meet with him the next time Thomas came to the village. She promised this gladly and hummed as she cleared away his meal. The next morning, the old chief was passing through the wood beside the meadow when he heard his daughter's voice raised in protest. He picked up his pace in alarm and then stopped when he heard the young trapper's voice. "Father Constantine said it would be a sin for us to marry," Thomas repeated. "I told him that you would join the church, but he said it didn't matter. He said no one will accept us or our children because I am white and you are not." "You told me that your God was not a white man," the girl replied, "that the one you worship lived and died in a land far across the sea, where men's skins are as dark as mine. If this is so, how can your God look down upon one such as I?" The trapper wouldn't listen. He repeated Father Constantine's words until the girl was silenced. The old chief trembled with rage, his anger directed more at the friar who had counseled the troubled boy than against the boy himself. He wanted to shake the lad, to tell Thomas to follow his heart and not the words of the priest. But the old chief knew that it was not his place. He had not interfered with the beginning of his daughter's romance, and he would not interfere with its end. "I am sorry," he heard Thomas saying over and over as his daughter began to weep. "I am sorry." The old chief could not bear to hear his daughter crying, and so he moved silently away, returning to his home by another route so his daughter would not see him. Later, his daughter came into their home silently, her head averted. She made his meal without looking once at him. His heart was wrung with pain at the sight of her grief. And finally he spoke. "Speak to me, daughter," he said. "Tell me what troubles you." "Thomas is going away," she said, addressing her words to the fire. "We will not be married after all." "My poor child," the old chief said quietly, his voice choking on the words. His daughter nodded in acknowledgement, but she did not speak again. When the old chief woke the next morning, the fire had gone out and there was no sign of his daughter. He sat up abruptly, his heart pounding in fear, and then ran out into the village, clothing askew and hair wiry, to search for her. He turned his feet at last toward the river and then stopped when he saw a huddle of people at the top of the incline looking down into the pool below. They glanced up when they heard his running feet and then turned away, unable to meet his eyes. He went to the top of the slope and looked down at the slight figure floating face down in the water, her long dark hair swirling softly around her drowned form. The old chief did not feel himself fall to his knees, nor was he aware of screaming his daughter's name over and over in agony. He saw nothing save the vision of his child's body drifting there in the water. It was his oldest friend who finally pulled him to his feet and helped him back to his home. From that moment forward, the only thought in the old chief's mind was that of revenge. He wanted to kill the young trapper who had driven his child to her death, but Thomas had already set out for the east, never to return. So the old chief's hatred turned instead to Father Constantine. The old chief wasted no time. That night, he crept into the friar's room and silently slid a knife into the man's heart. His presence at the fort passed unnoticed, and Father Constantine's body was not discovered until noon of the following day. The whole fort was shocked. The guards were doubled and trebled, but no one knew who killed the good father or why. For a few days, the old chief was at peace, although he mourned his daughter and turned his duties over to a young cousin who would one day soon be chief. He relished the thought that he had avenged his daughter's death. But gradually, the old chief became aware of a voice calling to him in the wind. Over and over, it spoke his name reproachfully. Finally, the chief recognized the voice of Father Constantine. "Why did you kill me?" the voice whispered through the treetops during the early evening hours. "Murderer!" it shrieked at the height of a windstorm. The old chief did his best to ignore the voice, chanting prayers and meditating, but the voice only grew louder and more persistent. "Why did you kill me?" the wind whistled under his blanket at night. "Murderer!" it shouted through the meadow grasses at noon. Then the tolling of the bells began. Bong, bong, bong. Hi, Greg. Though these were the great bells of the fort, which called the white men to mass each week. Bong, bong, bong. Ethel, yeah, I see that. I thought I had the window open a little, but I don't. Wonder why it's doing that. Called the white men to mass each week, bong, bong. But it was the wrong day and the wrong time for mass. The old chief was confused, and he asked his young cousin why the bells were ringing. His cousin looked at him strangely and very gently told the old chief that no bells had sounded that day. And here's an illustration. Still the old chief heard them ringing hour after hour, ringing in counterpoint to the voice in the wind shrieking, "Murderer, murderer." Hi, QB. Sherry Shirley. Unable to eat, unable to sleep, the old chief sat beside a blackened fire, wrapped in a dirty blanket, shaking and rocking and humming to himself to drown out the voices and the tolling of the bells. Hour after hour, his people tried to speak to him, to comfort him, but he was beyond their reach. Still, they loved their old chief, And so all the women and many of the men in the tribe took turns sitting with him, trying to tempt him back to life with delicious food and soft conversation. The chief sat in silent agony for a week. Then on Sunday morning, the real bells of Mass began to toll. At the sound, the old chief abruptly stopped rocking. He sat up straight and stared into the face of his cousin's wife, whose countenance he saw clearly for the first time in days. "Tell my cousin to be a good chief," he said to the woman. Then he rose, threw off his blanket, and started running toward the fort. His people called out in amazement and followed him, but he ran with supernatural speed and quickly outdistanced them. As the last toll of the final bell faded into silence, the old chief burst through the doors of the church and ran straight up to the altar. Tall and proud and angry, he turned to face the congregation. "It was I who killed Father Constantine," he said. "I stole into your fort in the night and took his life because he stole the life of my child, my only daughter. It was he who sent her lover away because her skin was not white. And so she took her own life because of the friar's false counsel. Father Constantine was no better than a murderer, and so I punished him for his crime." The old chief stopped abruptly, overcome suddenly with weakness and a terrible pain in his left arm. He stood swaying in agony as the congregation exclaimed in horror. Several soldiers who were attending the early mass leapt to their feet and approached him cautiously. Ignoring them, the old chief turned to look at the priest who had come to replace Father Constantine. "I too am a murderer," the old chief said, "and I deserve to die because I took the life of a holy man. I realize this now." The priest stared down at him, shock and pity on his gentle, intelligent face. "Pray for me," the old chief whispered to the priest as he fell to the floor of the church. By the time the soldiers reached him, he was dead. "They haven't arrived yet?" "QB, your package that hasn't come yet, has it?" See what the next story will be. Let's see. Just looking, trying to find a good one, good one. Anybody here ever watch Game of Thrones? Because there's a picture here that reminds me of Game of Thrones. then you'll get this LMNW50. Get it? Okay, Mama Ames. Good. I'm glad you're listening. Yeah. Wonder if they got it from that. We're going to read this one. It's called One Last Head. It is, isn't it? One Last Head out of Monroe County, Michigan. Give me another sip. Folks hereabouts were never too fond of the Quick family. Old Man Quick had moved to Michigan territory with his son Billy shortly after the death of his wife. He built a house out back in the woods, a long way from the settlement, and eked out a living by hunting and trapping. Folks tried to be friendly with Old Man Quick and his boy when they first came to the settlement to sell coon skins and buy supplies for the winter. But the hunter and his son weren't much on socializing, and their taciturn ways and rough speech soon turned people against them. When young Bill turned 18, things changed a bit. The lad started coming to some of the town's socials, and he even cracked a few jokes with the fellows playing checkers in the mercantile. Then he started courting a nice young lady from a good family. Bill soon won her heart and her hand, and they settled down with Old Man Quick out in the backwoods. Okay, QB, you do that. There's lots of things I should be doing, and here I sit. But yes, good for you. You get them done, girl. Let's see. Bill soon won her heart and her hand, and they settled down with Old Man Quick out in the backwoods. Surprisingly enough, the marriage was a happy one, though the girl's parents disapproved of Bill and were upset that their only daughter lived so far away. When the girl died in childbirth, her parents swept down upon the grieving father and took their little grandson away with them before he knew what had happened. After the death of his wife, Bill grew as taciturn as his father and stopped coming into town. He rarely saw his son and didn't interfere in his upbringing in any way. Things went on like this for years. Then one day Bill came home to find his father dead on the cabin floor. Old Man Quick had been tomahawked to death and partially scalped by an Indian war party that had raided the lonely cabin while Bill was out checking his traps. Well, Bill just about went mad with grief and fury, and in the years that followed, Bill became even more reclusive. He came to town only once a year for winter supplies, and he rarely communicated with his son, young Tom Quick. Tom. Lexi?
Yeah.
Will you tell Isaiah his truck alarm's going off? Oh, wait, never mind. It stopped. Tom Quick. That's a real person, isn't it? Tom Quick. Well, these are supposed to be based on folklore and stuff. Sherry Shirley said hi. Lex. Sherry Shirley said hi.
Hello.
She said hello. He rarely communicated with his son, young Tom Quick, who still lived with his in-laws. Bill Quick's cabin became more and more decrepit. The smell coming from it got to be so bad that passing hunters took to avoiding that patch of the woods altogether, opting to make the long trek to town rather than bunking with Bill for the night. It was during this period that the relationship between the settlement and the local Potawatomi and Wyandot tribes became strained. No one knew for sure why the tribesmen became so wary of their white neighbors or why they stopped trading with the people in town. Eventually, they withdrew completely, staying close to their tribal lands and avoiding the white men altogether. Things stayed this way for a long time. As the years passed, the townsfolk almost forgot that the settlement had ever traded with the local tribes. Tom Quick grew into an easygoing young man who was nothing like his taciturn, reclusive father. He'd been much indulged by his maternal grandmother, and he took to drink and cards rather than hard work and religion. Still, folks preferred him to his father. Bill Quick behaved more and more like a wild man during his infrequent visits to town. There was something about him that frightened even the toughest frontiersmen, and something in his eyes that terrified the women folk. They claimed time and again that his pupils gleamed red like those of a maddened beast. One day, a local hunter passing near Bill Quick's cabin heard a heart-rending wail coming from inside. He went to investigate and found Bill Quick lying on a cot in the main room. Quick begged the hunter to send his son Tom to him before he died, and the compassionate man hurried into town to do as Bill bade him. Tom was surprised and touched by the summons. He had almost reconciled himself to his father's complete indifference toward him, though he secretly wished that his father would love him, if only a little. He hurried through the woods toward the Quick cabin, hoping to get there before Bill died. As he entered the clearing where the cabin stood, he was overwhelmed by the stench of rotting meat. Tom gasped and reeled backward, retching and fighting to control his stomach. The smell was far worse than the hunters in town had described. Tom no longer wondered that they had avoided the place. He wanted to turn and run, but his father was dying inside that cabin, so he forced himself forward. He called out to Bill as he knocked on the door, and his father had answered from a cot by the closed door in the far wall, on the far wall. The smell was even worse inside the cabin, but Tom steeled himself and stepped into the room. Bill's emaciated, fever-stricken form lay on the bed. His rough face was flushed with fever, and he was picking restlessly at the tattered cover that lay over him. He snapped at his son to come over where he could see him, and Tom walked slowly to his side. The smell was so bad now that he had to concentrate on controlling his stomach. It seemed to be pulsing out from behind the closed door beside his father's cot. "I'm dying, curse it," Bill began abruptly when Tom reached the bed. "And I won't be able to finish my life's work, so you're going to have to do it." "What life's work?" Tom asked. This was the first time the old man had ever spoken of such a thing. "My revenge," his father shouted, his pupils gleaming red with madness. "My collection." Bill gestured toward the closed room and told his son to go into the next room. Trying to breathe only through his mouth, Tom opened the latch and stepped through the door. He was met by a blast of foul air, and he paused in horror as his eyes took in shelf upon shelf of human heads lining every wall of the room. Some were merely skulls. Others were half rotten and crawling with worms and beetles. At least one was nearly fresh, and Tom could see the look of shock on the face of the Potawatomi tribesman to whom it had once belonged. There was only one empty space left in the room, at the center of the back wall, a gap just big enough to fit one more head. Okay, Annie B, just relax and drift off to sleep. Sweet dreams. Ethel. Dear God in heaven, Tom cried. He backed out of the door, wanting to run, but unable to tear his eyes away from the grotesque collection. Father, what have you done? He cried, whirling at last to face the dying old man on the cot. I have avenged your grandfather, Bill Quick said. On the day he died, I swore to take the heads of 100 Indians in exchange for the scalp they took from my father. As Tom struggled to listen, Bill described how he tracked down his prey, waiting until he found a tribesman hunting alone and then shooting him through the heart. He never needed more than one bullet for each man, he told his son proudly, and he removed each man's head for his grisly collection. At first, it had been easy to find individual hunters, but the Potawatomi and Wyandot tribes had become weary as the death toll mounted, and soon none of the men went out hunting alone, but Bill had continued his hunt, stalking his victims even more carefully, and had continued to add to his terrible collection until this fever had laid him low. 99 heads line my walls, he told his son. You must kill the last Indian and fulfill my oath to your grandfather. Fighting to control his revulsion, Tom glared at the figure on the bed and told him that he would have nothing to do with his terrible oath. Bill Quick rose up from his pillow, his eyes red with rage. Tom backed away in horror, afraid that he would become his father's next victim. Give me one last head, Bill Quick howled, his voice that of a madman. One last head. Tom ran for the door as fast as his shaking legs would carry him. Right, Mama Ames. He fumbled with the latch, hearing the cot creak as his insane father tried to rise. His sweaty palms kept slipping off the metal hatch, but finally he got the door open and threw himself into the yard. The voice of his father followed him as he fled from the Quick cabin. Fulfill my oath, or my spirit will return from the grave to seek you out. One last head. Tom ran as fast as he could. When he could run no longer, he flung himself down upon the leaf-strewn dirt and sobbed in fear and rage and revulsion. Tom passed. How long, he didn't know. Finally, when all traces of tears and sickness were gone, he went back to the settlement and straight to the pub to drown his sorrow in whiskey. It took several days and many drinks to ease the horror of Tom's meeting with his father. One evening, the hunter who had brought Tom his father's deathbed message came and told him that the old man had died. He checked on him that day and found him dead in his cot. The longer he talked, the harder Tom found it to control his countenance as he visualized every sordid corner of the cabin. Don't feel bad that he was alone when he passed, son, the hunter said gruffly, reading only grief in Tom's expression. Old Bill preferred it that way. Tom nodded wordlessly, and the hunter took himself off, privately touched by the depth of feeling Tom had for his crazy old father. That night, Tom was awakened by the sound of the wind howling outside his window. He sat up in bed and saw a glow coming from the treetops outside. It formed into the face of his father, his eyes glowing red with insanity, his open mouth a fathomless black hole. One last head, the apparition shrieked. Tom screamed in terror and hid underneath his covers until the ghastly face disappeared. Then he jumped out of bed and ran into the main room to get a bottle of whiskey, which he speedily emptied. He spent the rest of the night by the fire, his back to the window, refusing to look up from the flames. Everywhere he turned the next day, Tom saw his dead father. A pair of red eyes watched as he rode away from the farm toward town. An emaciated form appeared on the roof of the mercantile, glaring down on him as he tied his horse to the hitching post. The wind howled through the main street, whipping around him and shrieking, "One last head," into his ear. Tom ended up in the tavern, seeking courage in a bottle, and was so drunk by the day's end that he spent the night in the lockup. Ethel. Tom spent more and more of his time that way, since it seemed the only way to avoid the ghost of his father. But drink only muted the terror he felt when he saw his father's specter lurking in the shadows, or felt malevolent red eyes watching him. And soon, even the voices of other people could not tune out his father's shrieking, "One last head, one last head." One night, he told the bartender the whole story, and it became a joke among the townspeople. Every time someone mentioned seeing a Potawatomi or Wyandot warrior in Tom's presence, folks would nudge one another knowingly. "Here's your chance, Tom," they would say. "Better go get him now, before your father's ghost returns." Tom's life became one of sheer misery. He couldn't hold a job because of his drinking, and he was teased and tormented constantly by the wags in town over his father's curse. Just when Tom thought things couldn't get any worse, he was visited at midnight by the rotting corpse of his father. Bill Quick stood in the doorway, his maggot-ridden skeleton and shredding skin clear as day in the bright moonlight. The specter held a hunting rifle in one hand and a knife in the other, pointing the rifle at his cowering son. Bill Quick made his demand. 99 heads lie in my walls. You must kill one last Indian and fulfill my oath to your grandfather." Tom was so terrified he couldn't speak. He backed away until his shoulders hit the wall behind him. His body was shaking uncontrollably. He wanted to flee, but he stood frozen in place, unable to take his eyes off the demented figure in the doorway. "One last head. I need one last head. You have until midnight, or the spirit of your murdered grandfather will return with me, and you will answer to him." Tom's courage broke, and with it went his mind. With a shriek every bit as horrible as that of his father, he dove out the window and ran toward the settlement. His screams of terror woke the whole town. He leapt from house to house, pounding on the wooden doors until they buckled, babbling insanely about his father's specter and begging anyone to take him in. The good people of the town barred their doors, and the townsmen ran him off with rifles, fearing that the drunken madman might harm their women and children. Sorry, guys. Tom was last seen plunging into the woods in the direction of his father's cabin. When the townsmen went to check on him the next day, they found his house empty. Taking their rifles, they started a careful search, not sure what would happen when they found the poor, insane drunk. They followed his trail easily through the woods, but the tracks disappeared just inside the clearing where the Quick cabin stood. The air still reeked of rotting flesh. To the right of the cabin, Bill Quick's grave lay undisturbed in the flickering afternoon light. The searchers Excuse me. The searchers approached the cabin reluctantly, closing their noses before they entered. The main road was empty and showed signs of long abandonment. The dirt, I really think, I love you, baby. I do love you, but I always start when she sits right here in my face. Hi, Lori. This one's almost done, thank goodness. The main road was empty and showed signs of long abandonment. The dirt floor showed no new tracks, but there was still the back room to check. One man crossed to the door and pulled it open. The stench of rotten flesh bellowed out into the room. Gagging desperately, the men stepped through the door and gave a cry of terror that brought the other searchers running. They were instantly overwhelmed by the grisly sight of rotting human heads lining the shelves in the room. But it was the bulging eyes and agony-twisted face of the last victim that held their attention. Filling the 100th space at the center of the back wall was the head of Tom Quick. The rest of his body was never found. Just give me a moment to try to find one that's kind of good. Can we switch to a regular one for a minute? Like a regular story from the old days? Then we can come back to some of this if we're still here. You guys care? Okay, Ethel, thanks for coming. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Grabbing a couple different, some magazines. Watch out. Please, baby. I'm going to give you guys a couple of trivia questions too, okay? Be right there. Anybody still here, or are you getting bored? It is boring, I know. That's why you can leave. I won't be hurt. I'm just hanging out. I'm hoping you'll hang out a little bit. Karen. Love you guys too. Danielle. Carolyn show up yet? Let me see. See if she read my message. Now my daughter's making me feel guilty. She says, I love you guys. Good night. With a bunch of hearts. I love you too, Nikki. And tell Apple I love her. And don't worry, I won't forget to give you some money. Oh, wow. It's going to be 71 here tomorrow. Oh, nice, Sherry. I have my inhaler. I took a couple puffs of it right when I started. Okay, Nicole, hope you feel better. Oh my gosh. Really? Why do you stalk me nonstop? Why? Go on, baby. Go lay down. Go on. Go on. Go. You won't be happy until we'll do some cat puzzles. I forgot to message Carolyn. Hello. Question. Mittens, stop. Carolyn hasn't answered yet. Yes, I hope you do feel better very soon. Okay, I'm going to give you guys a bunch of names here. Hi, Janine. I'm going to give you a few names, okay? Famous people. I want you to tell me what you think they have in common, okay? Okay, you ready? Abraham Lincoln, Cardinal Richelieu, Catherine the Great, Charlotte Bronte, Ernest Hemingway, Florence Nightingale, Freddie Mercury, John Lennon, Karl Lagerfeld, Mark Twain, and Pablo Picasso. Well, they all have something in common? They all have something in common. What do you think it is? Nope. Might be, but not what I'm looking for. Nope, that's not what I'm looking for. Nope. No. It's all in this book that I just showed you. Okay, I'll give you a hint. Just look at it. No, Penny. I mean, it could be, but that's not what I'm looking for. Yes. What about cats? What about cats? Hi, Paint It Black. There you are again. Hope you're feeling better. You still in the hospital? Cat lovers. That's right, Margot. Cat lovers. Yep, yep, Hanny. Isn't this exciting? Okay, let's see. Page 90 has the answers for this. They all loved cats, Davita. Do we have any cat lovers in here? Well, that's a good thing then, right, Paint It Black? Okay, Henny, you're okay. We got cat lovers. Let's see what you know about cats that are in the movies. I would not know any of these, so I'm just saying. Let me make sure I get the right answers, though, before I read you the question. Okay. In the movie Hocus Pocus, this feline familiar of three witches is actually a 17th century teenager trapped in a cat's body. What is their name? I would have no idea because I didn't really follow this movie. Anybody know the name of the cat? Yeah, honey. Thackeray Binks. I'm going to get, yeah, that's close enough. Wow. Okay, how about the movie Cat's Eye? A cat with this name is tasked with protecting a girl played by Drew Barrymore in the Stephen King adaptation, Cat's Eye, 1985. And no looking it up on Google. Anybody? Davita's saying the same. Or are you just behind, Davita? Oh, and you got it too, Nicole. You don't know this movie? Okay, that one's name is General. The movie Homeward Bound, The Incredible Journey, 1993, voiced by Sally Field, this Himalayan makes her way home with her friends, an American bulldog and a golden retriever. Oh my gosh, you got it already. Yeah, Sassy. Wow. I didn't even get that finished. Wow, you guys are good. Aw, really, Jess Ruby? That gives me chills. Wow. Isn't that something? And that question came up just for you. And you know what? You want to know something? I've had this magazine since sometime last summer and have never even really looked through it at all. I have it in a box in there with a bunch of other magazines that I bought for using here. That's amazing. And that's just for you, Jess. I really think that's a sign. I do. He's wanting, it's a sign to you. Just saying, hey, Mom. Right? Because I believe in those. I believe we have those signs like that. Right, Davida? I'm not kidding. I have chills again for real. They're going all up and down my body. It's a good sign, a happy sign. When they show us, hey, I'm here. Okay, Breakfast at Tiffany's. This is 1961. Is its name a little too obvious? Sure, but that doesn't mean Holly Golightly doesn't love this feline friend. Let's see what the name is. I do too. Paint it black. I love it. Yes, Elizabeth T. It's Cat. Wow. And the YouTuber MGL, Molly Golightly, that's who she got her name from. Holly Golightly, because she thinks she's that character. Meet the Parents, 2000. This toilet-trained Himalayan was played by two feline actors, Mishka and Bailey, with whom star Robert De Niro was so impressed, he reportedly asked for more scenes with them. Really? What's that one? Meet the Parents. What was the name? Two feline actors, right? What was the name of the feline, the Himalayan? Anybody know? Yeah, that one was called, yep, they needed a double, Mr. Jinx. From the movie Alien, 1979. You got it, Karen. Trapped aboard the spaceship Nostromo with Sigourney Weaver's Ripley, this cat is one of the character's few sources of comfort as an extraterrestrial nightmare unfolds. You got it, Henny. Jonesy. Really close, Jonesy. Yep. Really, Davida? I can't even remember the movie. Isn't that horrible? I'm so bad. I kind of do, though. Yeah, I kind of do remember. I mean, I know I watched it. I'm so happy, Davida. Gives you a lot of comfort too, doesn't it? Really means a lot when you get a sign. It really, really does. It means the world, actually, I think. And I know you do too. I just can't stand this for all you mothers and fathers. It's hard enough for us grandmothers. I've always told my daughters, I know how horrible, how it affects me. But I just hate that you guys have to live with this. Okay, let's see. That Darned Cat, 1965. Alongside Disney mainstay Haley Mills' amateur sleuth character, this cat helped solve a bank robbery in a family classic. Oh, I loved this movie. Oh, I would never know the name of the cat. Anybody know? If Carolyn comes on, let me know, guys. I know I would get him. No, I wouldn't get a message on here because I'm live. Oh, yeah, I would. I would get a message. Oh, wait, she might have answered. No, she didn't. Where are you, Carolyn? Carolyn, Marie, Michelle. Carolyn, Marie, Michelle. It's initials DC. That's the name. Then there's one more. Austin Powers. Man of Mystery, 1997. Mike Myers' send-up of classic spy movies includes a Blofeld-style villain constantly accompanied by this hairless sphinx, played by a cat named Ted Nude Gent. What is the cat's name in the movie? You're going to bed? Cold case? Okay. You have a good sleep, okay? Hiya, Heart Made Wise. Okay, Davita. The name is Mr. Bigglesworth. Yeah. Yep, DC was the name of the cat in that movie. Yep. Okay, I'm just going to read some more now. If you guys don't mind, just do what you want. Okay? And to anybody that might be watching on a replay listening, I feel sorry for you if you can't find anything more entertaining on YouTube. But I really appreciate you being here, and I hope you really enjoy the stories. Yes, I will, Janae. I will. So if you're listening on replay, please relax, enjoy whatever you're doing, okay? Mittens, please go. Now she knocked that off the table. Watch out, baby. Go on. Go, 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 go. I'm going to read a little poem first. Good old days poetry. Don't Quit, it's called, by Edward A. Guest, 1881 to 1959. When things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when the funds are low and the debts are high, and you want to smile, but you have to sigh, when care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but don't you quit. Life is strange with its twists and turns, as every one of us sometimes learns, and many a failure comes about when we might have won had we stuck it out. Don't give up, though. The pace seems slow. You may succeed with another blow. Success is failure turned inside out, the silver tint of the clouds of doubt, and you never can tell just how close you are. It may be near when it seems so far. So stick to the fight when you're hardest hit. It's when things seem worse that you must not quit. That is a good one. I like that. Look how pretty the drawing is with that. Isn't that pretty? Okay, let's find a story in here. We read that one. I remember that, the mystery egg. Okay, I don't think we've read this one. The Flash. The nickname wasn't appreciated, but it had a surprisingly positive effect. By Deborah Eckerman Pitton. They call me the Flash. My classmates gave me the nickname the Flash when I was younger, but not because of my speed at recess. I had a silver cap on my front tooth that often flashed in the light when I opened my mouth. The cap, along with the slew of jaw-clenching monikers I endured, all can be traced back to my obnoxious older brother. And I'll show you a photograph before. The photographer who took this 1965 photo of Deborah left and her siblings, Mary Beth and Steve, captured a rare smile from Deborah, silver tooth and all. Oh, yep, you can see it. Oh, they're cute kids, too. Oh, nice, Davita. Davita, look while you're still here. 1965. She looks about our age that we would have been there. Well, we would have turned 10 that year. Maybe she's a little older. She looks maybe older than a 10-year-old. We were doing the dishes one night in our Mason City, Iowa home when I was 9 years old. I was washing, he was drying. Just as I bent over to wipe up some water that had sloshed on the floor, yeah, the headband, yep. He snapped me on the bottom with his towel. I jerked forward, smashing my mouth into the Formica countertop, breaking off half of my left front tooth. My brother felt terrible and brought me a glass of Kool-Aid as a peace offering, but taking a drink of the cold beverage felt like getting a shot in my mouth. I spit the drink out in his face. My parents took me. Oh, wow, Karen, cool. My parents took me to the dentist the next day, and I learned that the pain I experienced was because I had an exposed nerve on my broken tooth. The doctor put a silver metal cap over the tooth, saying that with the nerve like that, the tooth might die. So he didn't want to put on an expensive porcelain cap at the same time. Really, Janae? Neat. At first, my silver tooth was a curiosity, but since that little piece of scrap metal, soon it became a liability. Any photo of me smiling showed what looked like a blank spot where the cap was. My brother said the pictures with me laughing made me look like a hillbilly. I wasn't happy with my early school pictures, so my mom gave me some of the wax that she used to seal her jars of jelly, and I molded it into a white cover over my front teeth, shaping it to look as real as possible. I slipped it into my mouth on picture day, right before the photographer snapped the camera. With my fake teeth grinning out of my school photos like new dentures, I finally felt I had some trading power as I exchanged my pictures with friends for theirs. In middle school, I tried out for school plays and community theater, as I always liked to kid around and make people laugh, but I never seemed to get a part. I did participate in speech contests, always looking for a funny piece to perform. However, lights on stage or at the front of a classroom often made my tooth shine when I spoke. It wasn't long before kids started calling me the Flash. My silver tooth stuck with me for years, although I pleaded for a porcelain cap at every dental appointment. My dentist always said, "Not yet," telling me he wanted to wait until my mouth and jaw were fully formed. Janae. That is a cute nickname. I just freaking can't believe I'm going to be 67 this year, guys. I cannot freaking believe it. It's like impossible. I don't understand. How did I get this age? I'm enjoying the last little bit of being 66. I wondered if the metal-mouthed character named Jaws from the James Bond movies ever suffered such abuse. When I was 16, I had a dental appointment the day of my birthday and finally got a white cap. And just like that, I was chosen for a lead role in a community play and began to get more attention from boys. Good, Jess. All my high school photos showed me smiling or laughing, and my days as the Flash seemed in the past. Years later, sitting in a dentist office for a consultation about my daughter's need for braces, I noticed a title among the books on a shelf, The Emotional Effects of Metal Caps on Young Children. I asked the doctor about it, and he said it was a study that showed that having visible metal caps produced shyness in children and inhibited their personality development, as well as their ability to make friends and be successful in school. You're going to be 47 in 2 weeks? See, I should be the one 47, Danielle. You went a long 2 weeks. See, Bonnie's 47. That's horrible. I have to figure out how old she is. She'll be, oh my gosh, Danielle, you're a year younger than her. She'll be 48 in May, I believe. I think. At least we all feel the same, I guess, right? We think we should all be younger. It just hits you. All of a sudden, you're like, oh, what? I was astounded and told the doctor about my own experience. I pondered the effects on my own childhood. It seems that in the long run, my silver cap and nickname shaped at least part of who I am. That shiny tooth was just a flash in the pan when I think about my story, but maybe it made me try a bit harder. Oh, you were born in 75? Okay, she was born in 74. So you're about 11 months younger. She was born May 6th. And you're in April. Although the metal mouthpiece was only a brief part of my earlier years, I feel a little grateful to my brother for that silver tooth and the effect it had on my sparkling personality. While it was wise that dentists no longer use metal caps, I believe I am who I am today because of my being the Flash. Oh, I guess I am. Well, mine, I'll dox myself, May 4th, 1955. Born in Gary, Indiana. I should have went there today to Michael Jackson's house. Because it was a pretty day. I know, Elizabeth. Let's see. Look how cute this is, guys. This clock. Right, DeVito, me too. Me too. Oh, cool, Jess. Yeah, Karen H, me too. Look at that, isn't it cute? A homemade happiness sculptured wall clock. Its artisan handcrafting makes each one of a kind by the Bradford Exchange. Chocolate chip hours encircle sentiment. Happiness is homemade. It's over 1 foot high. It has a heart accented wooden spoon, is a fun faux pendulum. I think it is cute, isn't it? I'd like to have that in my new kitchen. DeVita, you could probably make this. You're so talented. For real. Well, it says, well, yeah, it's a real clock. Yes. It's adorable. This would be, I bet Carolyn would like this, because she really likes to bake. She does. She likes baking. She's not into cooking, really, but she is into baking. It requires one AA battery. She'll probably say, "Why did you say I'm not into cooking?" I never said I wasn't into cooking. I make this and I make that, and it's really, really good. I never said I wasn't into cooking. Why are you saying that? She will. Didn't you see when I made the bread? Well, that's baking, Carolyn. Well, I know, but you've seen me make my pasta. And something, I can't think of what else it was. Be like, yes, but you're more into baking. You know that. It's warm up your kitchen with a wonderfully whimsical, deeply dimensional clock devoted to the pure joy of baking. At 14 inches high, the accurate quartz movement timepiece is completely handcrafted of fine artisan's resins. The closer you look, the more you'll be delighted, maybe even inspired by every intricately sculpted and hand-painted detail. Limited edition design original. Order now. Make it yours in 3 installments of $33.33 for a total of $99.99. Send no money now. Return the reservation application today. Plus you pay $15.99 shipping and allow 4 to 8 weeks delivery. Wow, and it says shown much smaller than actual size of about the 14 inches, 10 inches wide. I want a cuckoo clock. No, it doesn't. No, Whisper. Janae. Oh, meatballs. Yeah, meatballs. Redoing the kitchen. Yes, Davita, that is in the plans. But just don't have any. I mean, Dave always says, yes, we will. But I'm thinking more in Buffalo, at the other house. But I'd love to do it here too. And now, since he can't pick up anything over 20 pounds with his right arm, I do want a cuckoo clock, though, for real. For real, for real. Let's see. Hi, Tina Bina. I want a vintage rain lamp. I don't know what that is, but it sounds cool. I just was going to read something about bathing. Looked kind of interesting. Bathing in the good old days. This is it. It's only one page. Without water, the precious resource was in short supply for over 2 years. by Marie Latta. Like most of us who grew up during the Depression, I was used to being told to save on everything, from electricity to food. Hi, Linda Uribe. How are you? Lovely lady. Oh, okay, Davida. I knew you would do something with this. I knew you would. Let's see. Is that good enough? I'm trying to get the whole thing in there. Got it, Davida? Or do you want it closer? There is that spoon from the bottom. Did you get it? Why isn't Davida answering? Davida. Yes, Janae. I bet she's going to make it. Probably going to use a clock that she has. And she's going to put all these faux foods around it. I mean, who could do that any better than her, right? If you need me to hold it up again, just let me know, Davida. Do you have a rain lamp, Linda? What is a rain lamp anyway? She could definitely do it. Let's see, did she say what a rain lamp is? Remember, they look like they are raining. They have oil in them. Oh, yeah. I do remember those. That's what I was thinking, but I wasn't sure if that's what you meant. Oh, okay, good, Davida. Can't wait to see what you do with it. Yep, she will, and she'll have it on checkerboard ribbon. She'll have checkerboard ribbon or paint on it. Yep. $500 for that rain lamp, Linda. That's wild. Oh, wow, Linda. I love old clocks. Yeah, they're expensive, right? Okay, let's see. I'll start over. Like most of us who grew up during the Depression, I was used to being told to save on everything, from electricity to food. I was told to save my good clothes, for church on Sunday and even to go barefoot during the summer to save on shoe leather. I didn't mind. We lived on a farm near Olivet, Michigan, and we always had a roof over our heads and enough to eat. Everyone else was in the same boat, or so it seemed. Me too, Denise. But then about 1943, our old hand-dug well caved in. Ugh, sounds kind of like Lisa H's basement. Old hand-dug well caved in. Suddenly, we had to ration the water we used. Our neighbors, a quarter mile down the road, were kind enough to let us come and pump water from their well. So every night after my dad came home from his job, hauling coal in Battle Creek, we'd go and fill a large milk can full of water for our needs the next day. We had never had inside plumbing, so washing, now I'm saying it like, and I don't say washing, but I slipped. So every night after my dad oh gosh, what did I do? Every night after my dad came home from his job hauling coal in Battle Creek, we'd go and fill a large milk can full of water for our needs the next day. We had never had inside plumbing, so washing our hands in a wash basin and dipping drinking water from a pail on the counter was nothing new. What was new was not emptying the basin unless the water was noticeably dirty. She does have a great channel, Janae. Okay, whisper to me. And when I stood on the back porch to brush my teeth, I used only a half glass of water to dip the brush in. Saturday night baths in the wash tub became a thing of the past, too. Sponge baths with a small basin of water were all we could manage. Laundry was a problem for my mother, who believed cleanliness was next to godliness. Once a week, or less often if we were careful not to dirty too many clothes, we trooped back in the field to a spring where animals, including our 2 cows, drank. Pailful by pailful, we trudged up the hill to our house, carrying water for the old wringer washer and 2 rinse tubs. Once the laundry was done and drying on the outdoor clothesline, Mom drained the washer and tubs, but you can bet she wasn't just going to toss out that precious water. She used it to mop the kitchen floor, scrub the back porch, and at least once a week, clean the outdoor toilet. If there was any water left, it went on the garden or the fruit trees we planted. Rain was heartily welcomed. We'd set out the 2 wash tubs and delight in the soft water to wash our hair and other washing on the schedule. My special delight was having my own tub of rainwater warmed by the sun. Then I had a private pool to sit in and enjoy until my skin got wrinkly. Because there was a war going on, pipe wasn't available for us to have someone drill a new well, and even if it had been, most well drillers were working in the factories. When the war ended, we still couldn't get a well drilled. It took time to get the materials needed, and there were many other folks who had well problems or who had bought property and wanted wells. We were put on a waiting list. When our turn finally came, we happily anticipated once again having all the water we wanted. But the first day of drilling, we were disappointed. The workers told us they struck water, but it wouldn't last, so they needed to go deeper. My dad said they drilled 185 feet for our new well. That's what ours is, I think. I'm not sure. No, I don't think ours is that deep down at our cottage. We were so happy to have water again. No more going to the neighbors. No more carrying it up the hill from the spring. It was wonderful. Even today, when I have hot and cold water for laundry and showers, and watering the lawn and washing the car. I'm careful not to let the faucet or hose run longer than necessary. Even before I heard the word ecology, I learned how precious water truly is. Let's see. Right, Davita. Yeah, I do remember. No Carolyn yet. Did she answer me? Carolyn? Say her name 3 times. Maybe she'll show up. Carolyn. 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 Okay, we're going to go back to a spooky story since we're just hanging out. Hi, Jean. We're all into these spooky stories right here. If Steph shows up, I'll have to read one of these older ones, though. Oh, that's nice, Linda. So, Linda, I'm always pale. I saw you say that in one of the streams. You said Scooter's always pale. I do look like it in this light, but not really. But it's winter here, even though it's, we don't get a tan here in the winter. But it's spring now, first day of spring. Davida, since you're here, I'm going to read more spooky California. Oh, okay, Linda. Okay, I have read that one. Wake up. Hi, wake up. Okay, this is Placerville, California. Right, Jean? It's called Tommy Knockers. They made a movie called that, right? And Davana. Oh, wow. I was trying to say, I think I was trying to say Davita, but I meant to say Danielle. Danielle, still here. Video Reel's still here hanging out. Carolyn. Stephanie. I chuckled to myself as I climbed down into the darkness of the mine shaft, musing on the antics of the 49ers who had come rushing to California to find gold. None of them knew anything about hard rock mining. They just wanted to do a little panning, a little digging, and go home rich. Hard rock mining. Uh-oh. Sandra's on. She's showing her wind chimes. Is she live or is it a video? Oh, Carolyn. Yeah, she's on now. I'm going to stop. Carolyn, 10 o'clock it says. So what time is it? 10:03. So we're just going to end. And we go over to Carolyn's. I'm going to yell at her because she never looked at my messages. To the basement to check the oil levels once more. Join us for the next episode of These Are the Days of Jimmy's Oil Wells. Okay, thank you guys for coming. Thank you so much and hanging out. Okay, see you over at Carolyn's. Remember, I'm there lurking. Bye, guys. Thank you.